walk me through this Warriors season and when you know that the team felt it could be special, Tom.
Well, I thought early on they would be one of a handful of teams that could compete for a championship. I always felt like it was them, Phoenix, Boston, but this was really early on. Then I said not Boston. Then I got back to Boston. But anyway, Milwaukee, New Jersey, if they were healthy. I think there were like 5 teams that had a chance to win a championship. And I always thought they were one of them, just because I've seen this team play for years and years now. And I know the composition, the makeup of this team. So I always felt like they had a chance. There were times during the season where the defense wasn't great or the offense wasn't great. And I thought, you know what, they need to kind of kick it in gear a little bit. But I never thought this was going to be a favorite to win the championship, Rich. I just thought they were going to be one of a few teams that have a chance to win a championship. And there they are. They're really good defensively, really good offensively, and they're probably where they felt like they belonged all along.
So what insight can you give us, Tom Tolbert, on Klay Thompson? Because the general sense is he's Klay, and, you know, now that he's back, of course he's just going to keep splashing in threes. And Game 5, Klay showed up, and it looks like they're going to get the Klay Thompson we've all come to know and love for the NBA Finals. But what insight do you have on his comeback, his rehab, everything that happened in the setback, another injury, and so on and so forth, Tom?
Well, I tell you what, if you knew him, you wouldn't be happier for a person to return to playing basketball at a high level. I mean, this guy loves basketball. I mean, he just loves it, and he's so funny. He has his videos, I think it's Instagram or whatever. He's out on the bay on his boat, got his captain's hat on, just kind of tooling around the bay. And just he'll take shots of himself tripping around the Bay Area. I mean, he loves the Bay, loves his dog, loves hanging out, but he really loves basketball and loves competing. I can't imagine what it was like to get injured the first time and then almost come back and get injured again with the Achilles, and then have to sit out another year to miss what you really love doing. So I'm so happy for that guy to be able to come back and play. He's not quite the same player. Like, he still has some really good nights, and I'm sure he'll have at least 1 or 2 during the finals. But, you know, the shot isn't quite as consistent as it once was. Defensively, he's not quite what he was. But, you know, he's getting a little bit older and coming back from 2 catastrophic injuries. But, yeah, like I said, if anybody knew him, they'd just be thrilled that this guy's able to get back and compete, because you just can't help but love that guy.
And so what about this team continues to click? Is it Curry's, consistency? Is it Draymond Green's presence? Why does it Kerr's coaching? What is it, Tom, for this team?
Rich, I think it's just a combination of everything. I think their defense, like when they play really good basketball, I think their defense is the backbone of the team. Like, they're really good defensively. You don't really think of them as a defensive team because Steph and Klay, Jordan Poole now, you think of them as an offensive team, but they can be a really good offensive team, but when they're good, they're consistently good defensively. And Draymond Green, it was funny, I asked Steve Kerr last week, I said, you've been a good defensive team now for like 7 years. That's been a common thread of the Kerr era: ball movement, player movement, defense. And I said, you've been a good defensive team, really good defensive team for 7 years. What's the thread? He just said, Draymond Green. And that's really what it is. I mean, Draymond's one of the more unique defenders ever in the NBA, and one of the best defenders ever in the NBA. He's so versatile. He's so smart. He's one of those guys, you see it in every sport, guys that are ahead of the play. He's ahead of the play. He's never behind the play. In football parlance, he's ahead of the chains, always. He sees what's coming before it comes. He's not behind the play. He's not reactive. He's one of the best, if not the best, help defender I've ever seen in basketball. So he gets them to where they need to be, offensively too, in stats and stuff like that, but defensively, he's like the maestro out there, and he's something special. You watch him play, he's one of those guys that you can't tell how great he is by the stats. You look at the stats, you look and go, whatever. 9 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists. Okay. Numbers are okay. but you can't tell the impact that guy has on the basketball court by stats. He's one of the few guys that you have to watch him play, and you have to watch him play over and over and over again to really appreciate how great that guy is.
Is it fair to say, Tom Tolbert, that we saw Kerr's value when Mike Brown was filling in and the team struggled mightily against Memphis in a way that we didn't see? And it looked like the team, Barkley was right in calling them out. It looked like they were playing a scrimmage. They were just doing stuff, throwing up shots out of rhythm, being out of rhythm defensively. Is it fair to say that about that moment, Tom?
Trust me, Rich. I've seen them play with Steve, and they look like they're screwing around out there sometimes. I'm serious. Sometimes they just do stuff. You're like, what are you doing? Or what was that pass? What was that? So I don't know. The last time Steve was out, Mike Brown was 11-0 in the playoffs. So Mike Brown can coach. I don't know. It's just them. I don't know what it is, to be honest with you, but like I said, I've seen it when Steve's there. Steve'll be there coaching, and they lose themselves somehow. It's like, what are we doing out here? What are you guys doing? So I wouldn't blame that on Coach Brown at all. I'm not one that gives too much credit or too much blame to the coaches. It's a players' league, and players know what to do, and players are grown-ups, and players know the right play to make, and players know how to come prepared. And if players don't come prepared and players do stupid stuff on the court and players aren't paying attention to what they should be paying attention to, then, that's on the player to me. At this stage of your game, you don't need your coach to hold your hand for 48 minutes. You should know what the hell you're doing. You've been taught well enough. You should be able to go out there and play. And if you don't, that's on you. So I rarely give the coaches, too much credit, too much blame. Players know what the hell they're doing. Just go do it.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.